The detour was not a decision, it was a mandate of stone. A massive boulder, jagged and ancient as the mountain's spine, lay across the narrow throat of the northern forest pass. It had not fallen recently. No fresh scars marked the cliffs above, and no shattered pine boughs lay crushed beneath its weight. It simply existed where it should not be, as if the earth itself had shifted to delay their progress to the village. "I don't like it," Xeeona muttered, his hand resting habitually on the pommel of his unadorned short sword. His cold green eyes scanned the ridges, searching for the telltale glint of steel or the unnatural silhouette of a bandit. The forest remained like a silent tomb. No bandits surged from the brush, no orcs barked challenges, and the lack of even a single bird's cry gnawed at his focus. They had to turn east, forced into a deeper, more tangled stretch of the forest where the shadows felt thick enough to touch. Xeeona moved with the measured, barely visible breath of a man who had forgotten the sound of his own name, his boots finding their place in the packed snow without a sound. Beside him, Brannick's vibrant, plum-coloured cloak was a garish wound against the grey-white ground. Hours later, the fatigue of the north and the lingering ache in his ribs demanded a short rest. They found a small opening where the wind was muffled by dense trees. Xeeona lowered himself onto a fallen trunk, his senses still sharp, yet the weirdness of the silence was beginning to cloud his mind with suspicion. The strike was nearly silent, a faint thwip, a sound no louder than a snapping twig. Xeona's hand went to his neck as a sharp, cold sting pierced his skin just above his collarbone. He pulled away a slender piece of dark wood, tipped with a glistening resin. A poison. "Xeeona." Brannick's voice was small, hesitant. The ranger didn't answer. The world tilted. His vision, usually as focused as a predator's, began to fracture. He fumbled with a pouch at his belt, pulling out a small vial of bitter antidote. He swallowed it in a single gulp, but the fire in his veins did not fully extinguish. His heart hammered against his ribs like a trapped bird, and a cold sweat slides across his receding brow. "Where are they?" Xeeona growled, his short sword sliding from its sheath with a dry hiss. He tried to stand up, but his knees betrayed him. He looked at Brannick, and then he saw something unusual. Tucked into the halfling's fine, gold-threaded belt was a miniature mechanical device. A dart thrower, crafted from dark, polished brass. "You!" Xeeona hissed, the edge of his blade wavering toward the smaller man. "You carry the weapon of an assassin." Brannick's eyes went wide, his face draining of all colour. He looked down at his own belt, his hands trembling as they hovered over the weapon. I swear by the deep halls, Xeeona, I've never seen this in my life. I didn't feel it. I don't know how it got there." Xeeona stared at him through the haze of the poison still lingering in his veins, his instinct honed by years of surviving the brutal honesty of the North told him the halfling was telling the truth. He had watched Brannick for days. The halfling was many things: a braggart, a coward, a man of strange magical charms, but he was not a master of sleight of hand. If he had been carrying a brass weapon at his hip, Xeeona would have noticed the glint of it just after they met. Yet, the clearing was empty. there was no one else. Unknown to them, perched on a frost-covered branch 20 paces above, a figure watched. He was a shadow within shadows, his attire a masterpiece of camouflage that blurred his silhouette into the bark and needles. He was a thief of high pedigree, a man whose obsession was not with gold, but with the perfect execution of a plan. He looked down at the staggering ranger and the frantic halfling, a thin, brilliant smile stretching across his face. The game was only beginning,